Okay, students, hey, hopefully you guys weathered the storm okay. I'm here in my house, and not terribly bad out there right now, but hopefully you guys weathered it just as well. Just lost power for a little while, not very bad at all, actually. Anyways, just wanted to touch base last week because of the storm. You shouldn't have had to do terribly much, but hopefully you finished the test at some point. If not, it was due last Thursday. I think I put an announcement out for that. It really depends on when you started this module, really. But it should have been that Thursday that you got back, at least the current time you got back. You're supposed to got back was that Thursday, so I wanted to finalize that exam for that same day. If you had any issues, just let me know, as always. Now, this next module is really important. This next module is about plate tectonics. And plate tectonics really kind of ties together everything that pretty much most of this first 3/4 of the class. It's actually a very important concept, and it's something that I spent a lot of time on. So make sure that you're doing that as we go from that. So, anyways, just as a side note, the grades for the exam will be posted as soon as possible. It should hopefully be done pretty quick, if not done already by the time you see this. Okay, so as always, go through the objectives. The objectives really what kind of direct you towards how people are doing, should direct you to what I think is most important in the module. And it's really what your study guide should be for the exams. Hopefully that helped you for your last exam. So far from what I've seen, most of you guys are doing fairly well. Okay. Now, after the objectives, make sure you go through your readings. This one is going to jump back to Chapter 2 again. Okay. And so with Chapter 2, just go through the chapter. There's no additional readings for this one. And you should have the text by now. The free service should be over by now, so make sure that if you don't, you're not going to be able to access the textbook or the homework. So if you don't have it yet, you need to get it now. The glossary does have a lot of words this time. I'm sorry, but this topic is an important one. It's one that we kind of go into depths. Some of this is repeat from what we should have done before, but it is an important topic, so therefore there's a little bit more. There's a little extra this time. Okay. Now, you still do have your two quizzes. This one I pushed back the dates because of the change with the hurricane, so that should be updated and ready to go as always. I did have to cancel a couple of not the classes, but the reading quizzes to make sure that everything fit because of the changes in our schedule. But hopefully that shouldn't be too bad for you. I don't think you guys are going to be too sad about that. Okay. Lecture material, this one is a little bit longer. We do have a little bit more extra material. It does take a little bit longer to get through this material. So make sure you spend that extra time on it. Some of our upcoming modules will be shorter. So that makes it, just realize that that's part of the difference here. This one is an important concept and it ties into a lot of different things. Okay, so that's that. Other than that, you have your activity, and that's really all there is to it. Like I said, plate tectonics is really what we call a unifying theory of earth science. It really helps us understand most of the other things around us, and so it's an important concept to grasp. If you're having problems with it, always just contact me. If you need to, contact a tutor from your online tutors here. Do anything you can to actually make sure you understand this section. Now you do have a discussion this week to do. I'm a little behind on the other ones. Hopefully the grading's been up by now. The hurricane and some issues that happened before the hurricane kind of threw me for a loop, so I was behind on the grading for a little bit. Hopefully that was okay. Now, this week, just for part of the discussion, there's a couple things to just remember. You'll still be in your groups, your small groups this week, groups of 10. Please interact as much as you possibly can. And remember, you have to have your posts in by Wednesday. Your initial post should be in by Wednesday. And then your responses and stuff like that should be in by Friday. Saturday, you can still do it on Saturday, but the initial post has to be finalized. By Friday. Okay, so that people can respond to you in time. Now, something that some people are not doing, they're not reading the instructions very clearly, so they don't get all the stuff that you need to put into it, and you also you're not reading the comment instructions. There are instructions to some of our comments where I ask you to specifically comment on one thing. You can comment on other things too, but you need to at least comment on these one for each comment that you make. Okay, if you have at least your 2, you can do that. If you want to do any additional comments, that's fine, but this is what you have to, this is the minimum. Okay, so when you comment on other individuals' posts, you need to do some research and find out one more location in the world where you have an example of the tectonic setting that they're studying. Okay, that's for the other person studying. So each person is going to actually pick one of these different settings: ocean convergent, ocean continental convergent. I need to probably put some spacing in there if I can, so it doesn't look like all one word. But just pick one of those, and then after you pick one of the settings, you can do some research on that particular setting. You can talk about the relative motion in that. You can talk about if there's volcanic features there or not. If there is, you're going to tell me why and how, why there is, and what type they have there. And if there's not, you're going to explain why there's no volcanics there. Okay. And then 3, you're going to tell us a little bit about what metamorphic rocks you find in the region. If there isn't any, then you tell me why there isn't any. Describe any geological resources that you might find. So this is kind of tying in our second module that we did, because tectonic settings do have that. There are a couple slides in that lecture that talks about that concept, but also that same slide comes up again in the volcano setting. That helps as well. That might help direct your study a little bit. Okay. The last one is important. I want you to describe a location in the world where would be a good example of this tectonic setting. If it's active, if there's one actively like that in the world, then you would say it. If there's not one that's active, you say a past one. Okay. Usually I think all these have a good example of an active one, but there are other good examples of past ones too. Okay. Anyways, that should be good. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email as always, and let me know, or you can always put it in the discussion board for the class. But just please put it in there. Let me know if you have any questions or things like that. Okay, guys. Talk to you later.